In the South China Sea, a dangerous standoff is unfolding, one that is far more complex and consequential than it may first appear. The tension is mounting between China and the Philippines, two nations locked in a struggle that is drawing in the attention of the entire world. This isn't just a regional spat, it's a daily, high-stakes confrontation with global consequences, where every maneuver is scrutinized by governments, militaries, and markets worldwide. Coast Guard ships face off against small fishing boats, water cannons are fired with alarming regularity, and ramming incidents are caught on camera, turning the open sea into a stage for dangerous brinkmanship. The world is watching closely, because what happens here could disrupt global trade routes, threaten energy supplies, and even spark a wider conflict that draws in other nations. The South China Sea is not just a body of water, it's a superhighway for the global economy. Every year, trillions of dollars in goods, from electronics to oil, pass through these vital shipping lanes, connecting Asia with the rest of the world. Beneath the surface, the sea is rich in oil and gas reserves, and teeming with fish that feed millions. For countries in the region, these resources are a lifeline, fueling economies and sustaining communities. Over the years, tensions have escalated from quiet diplomatic disputes to aggressive encounters at sea, with each side unwilling to back down. The Philippines, determined to defend its territory and the livelihoods of its people, finds itself up against China's overwhelming naval power, a true David and Goliath struggle playing out on the waves. Each incident, each close call, raises the risk of a miscalculation. A single mistake that could spiral into open military conflict, with consequences that would reach far beyond these waters. This is more than a territorial dispute. It's a test of international law and of the rules-based order that has governed the world's oceans for decades. Can a powerful nation simply ignore a binding court ruling? Or will the international community stand up for the principles of sovereignty and justice? In the 21st century, can might truly make right? Or will diplomacy and law prevail over force? The answers to these questions are being written day by day in these contested waters, where every wave, every reef, and every ship tells a story of power, resistance, and hope. The outcome of this struggle will shape not just the future of the South China Sea, but the very nature of sovereignty, security, and global order for generations to come. To truly understand the roots of today's conflict in the South China Sea, we need to look beyond the headlines and examine the history that shaped these waters. Decades ago, diplomats and mapmakers sat at tables, drawing lines that would define nations and spark disputes for generations. These lines, often drawn with little regard for the people and resources they divided, have become the source of ongoing tension. China's claim to nearly the entire South China Sea is symbolized by its 9-dash line, a sweeping boundary first appearing on maps in 1947. This line, vague and shifting over the years, has become a powerful symbol of China's ambitions in the region. The 9-dash line cuts deep into the exclusive economic zones, known as EEZs, of neighboring countries like the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Brunei, creating overlapping claims and constant friction. China justifies its claims by citing historic rights to these waters, referencing ancient maps and records. In contrast, the Philippines and other Southeast Asian nations turn to international law, specifically the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, which sets clear rules for maritime boundaries. According to UNCLOS, every coastal country has the right to control natural resources like fish, oil, and gas within 200 nautical miles of its shoreline, an area known as the Exclusive Economic Zone. Many of the most hotly contested features, such as Second Thomas Shoal, lie well within the Philippines' EEZ, making them flashpoints for confrontation and national pride. Tensions boiled over in 2012 when China seized control of Scarborough Shoal, a traditional fishing ground for Filipinos, and began blocking local fishermen from accessing the area. This standoff marked a turning point in the dispute. In response, the Philippines launched a bold legal challenge, taking China to the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague, seeking a peaceful, rules-based resolution to the conflict. In 2016, the tribunal delivered a landmark ruling in favor of the Philippines, declaring China's 9-dash line invalid under international law and affirming the Philippines' rights to its EEZ. However, China flatly rejected the tribunal's decision, refusing to recognize its authority and continuing its activities in the disputed water, undeterred by international condemnation. For Filipino fishermen and their families, the legal victory remains largely symbolic. On the water, Chinese ships still patrol, block, and intimidate, leaving the dispute unresolved and the future of these vital waters uncertain. December 2nd, 2025. The South China Sea is more volatile than ever. At 2nd Thomas Shoal, the Philippines' grounded BRP Sierra Madre is a flashpoint. Resupply missions face swarms of Chinese Coast Guard and militia vessels, often blocked or attacked with water cannons. China's Coast Guard dwarfs the Philippines, with former naval ships outmatching anything Manila can deploy. Filipino fishermen are harassed and driven from traditional grounds, threatening their livelihoods. The economic toll is immense for coastal communities. For the Philippines, this is about defending sovereignty and survival. Each day, the risk of escalation grows. The South China Sea's turmoil ripples across the globe. 1/3 of global maritime trade, over $3 trillion, passes through these waters. Any conflict here could cripple supply chains and energy flows worldwide. The US and its allies see China's actions as a threat to freedom of navigation, raising the risk of military confrontation. Southeast Asian nations are caught between economic ties to China and security concerns. The standoff is a test of the international rules-based order. If force trumps law here, it sets a dangerous precedent for the world. Beyond politics and power, the South China Sea's environment is under siege. The region's coral reefs, among the world's richest, are being destroyed. The Philippines accuses Chinese fishermen of using cyanide, devastating marine life and coral. China's island building has buried thousands of acres of reefs, erasing vital fish nurseries and storm barriers. The damage threatens food security for millions. Environmental destruction knows no borders. Everyone loses when the sea is poisoned. The lawless environment created by the dispute allows these practices to continue unchecked. As nations fight over territory, the very resource they seek is being destroyed. In this conflict, the environment is the silent victim. Outgunned and outnumbered at sea, the Philippines has turned to an unexpected but powerful new weapon: the camera. With limited naval firepower compared to China's vast fleet, Manila has realized that documenting every encounter can be just as impactful as traditional military might. Cameras now accompany every patrol, capturing real-time evidence of confrontations and aggressive maneuvers. Under President Marcos Jr., Manila's policy of assertive transparency means that every Chinese act of aggression is carefully documented and then publicized for the world to see. This approach is not just about gathering evidence. It's about shaping the narrative and ensuring that the international community cannot ignore what's happening in the South China Sea. Journalists are now embedded on Coast Guard patrols, providing first-hand accounts and dramatic footage of water cannon attacks and harassment. These images and videos are quickly shared across global news networks and social media, amplifying the Philippines' message and making it impossible for such incidents to be hidden or denied. This strategy not only exposes China's actions to the world, but also wins global sympathy for the Philippines and increases diplomatic pressure on Beijing. By making every incident public, Manila ensures that international attention remains focused on the ongoing tensions. Allies like the United States, Japan, and Australia respond with strong statements of support after each new incident, and sometimes even join joint patrols to show solidarity. These diplomatic moves reinforce the Philippines' position and send a clear message to China that it is not alone. While this approach has angered China, which accuses Manila of provocation, the Philippines believes that remaining silent would be tantamount to surrendering its rights and sovereignty. By shining a light on so-called gray zone tactics, actions that fall short of open warfare but still undermine Philippine sovereignty, the country leverages global opinion as a powerful force multiplier, making it harder for China to operate in the shadows. In today's information-driven conflict, a camera can be as powerful as a cannon. By turning transparency into a strategic weapon, the Philippines is rewriting the rules of maritime confrontation in the South China Sea. The Philippines isn't facing China alone. Its alliance with the US is backed by a mutual defense treaty, now explicitly covering the South China Sea. Joint military exercises have expanded, and the US has greater access to Philippine bases. Japan and Australia have joined in, providing ships, training, and joint patrols. These partnerships turn a bilateral dispute into a multilateral challenge for China. When a Philippine ship is harassed, it tests the resolve of an entire network. These alliances help level the playing field, giving Manila confidence to assert its rights. The stakes are higher, and so is the support. Experts call China's approach creeping assertiveness, a slow, relentless push to normalize control without open war. China uses maritime militia, ostensibly fishing boats, to swarm and intimidate, blurring the line between civilian and state action. This complicates any response and gives Beijing plausible deniability. The Philippines' transparency strategy internationalizes the conflict, making it harder for allies to ignore. Both sides are pushing limits, hoping the other blinks first. The risk of escalation is real. One accident could trigger a crisis. The standoff is a precarious chess match with global consequences. The world is watching every move. The South China Sea standoff has reached a critical point. Diplomatic efforts for a binding code of conduct continue, but progress is slow, and China resists legal constraints. Without a breakthrough, confrontations and transparency campaigns will persist. The dispute is a microcosm of US-China rivalry and a test of the rules-based order. Filipino sailors and fishermen risk everything to defend their rights. Their struggle is for all nations that value law over force. As global citizens, we can't look away. The outcome here will help shape the 21st century. Stay informed, support peaceful solutions, and recognize what's at stake. The future of this vital waterway and the world order hangs in the balance.